Just check out the detail that goes into these ZX6R fairings. They're incredible, so fiddly. ZXMT fairings, raw, no paint, not detailed, not dressed up, not drilled, not the final drilling I should say. Everything has to be just checked out piece by piece, each hole, each tab, but we'll get to the detail of that later. But here's the nose, it's done, it's finished, and it fits perfect. It is quite amazing how good the fit is actually. It is really good. Just with a file and that, just to tidy it all up, and it comes out great. Anyway, let's do a walk around, a quick walk around of where it's at, and then we've got one more panel to go, and it's ready for painting. So this has been the fit up of all the individual parts, and it's been really good. It's an aftermarket tailpiece that replaces the little pillion pad there. I didn't even know it existed, but a friend of mine got that for me. And this is the aftermarket tailpiece. There was a ridge from moulding along this section under here, and I had to learn how to sand away the ridge without doing any damage to any of the surface around it. But it came out beautifully. I'll explain more about that later. But the tail was the first one that I tried, and it was good. And then I moved over to the nose, which is just put up here for safekeeping, so I don't tread on it and break it. But like I showed you a moment ago, it was time consuming, but these joints around here, around the black inserts, that took the time. I had to measure the gap there, make sure that it was, because they're all just slightly undersized perhaps, or got a moulding edge on that needed to be dressed, and then it fits in nice, not forcing anything, because as soon as you force something, you'll snap it. You just take your time and you carefully check where it's touching, and then it all comes together. But anyway, that nose is done. It took a few hours to do that. Now another section, which is the bottom of the fairing, goes like that, right on the bottom. That's the rear wheel end, and it goes forward up to the front of the bottom of the radiator area. And there's the other one you can see there. Stone chips from the front wheel running back and hitting the back of the fairing there. A bit of the damage. But you need all the old pieces to give you the guide. I'll explain that later as well. Now, coming over here, and you have to take particular care as you join that all up there so you get a good fit. The tabs are underneath. You have to dress and measure. Main frame out there. And then under here is the other frame. Now, get that out of the way. There it is there. And it's fitting beautifully. Look at that. Spot on. Side stand's good. But it takes time. You have to take extreme care with the, once again, it's the fit. As you get into the these indicators, and the headlight surrounds are the same. The incredible nose on these things. There's an art to try and get these fairings on. I'm finding they're not like the Hayabusa. Where's the Hayabusa? We'll show you quickly the Hayabusa. To do the Hayabusa, the Gen 1 is so simple. The side fairing comes off first, either side. You take these off. You take that one off actually, and then you can take the nose off. So sides first, then the nose. It's really simple. But this is more like my GSX-R as well. It's much more complicated, I find anyway. So what I'm thinking is that I actually have to put the sides on first. That's why that one's on there now. And then you put the nose on last. I saw a guy on a YouTube video, he did that with another model of the Kawasaki, and I thought, oh, maybe that's the way you've got to do it with these. Because one of the biggest problems is that you got the ECU down on the inside of the fairing, mounted on the inside. The Hayabusa is so simple. On the Hayabusa, the ECU just lives under the seat. But with this, you got electrics screwed into the side, the inside of the fairing. So there you go. So we've got one more panel to go out of all the panels. I've already done the mounting of the right-hand indicator. You can see once again, you have to make sure the gap is opened up enough so that the indicator just pops in without forcing it. And there's just the manufacturer, because I checked with the original one, it has to go in one particular way as you feed it into that slot, because you've got the tabs on the other side that actually stop you from just dropping it straight in. And this is the advantage. Even though it's damaged from the crash, you still need the original part to check it out as you dress up the new one. So because I have the indicator, and I tried to fit that up there, swapped it back, kept testing it, and then I had to measure just to check to see where I needed to file. So here's an example of what you have to do for every mounting point. This is the standoff mount for the ECU, which is over there, that thing there. And we've got two other points, that one and this one over here, sharing the indicator. So what we have to do, just take a measurement on there. So we check the height of the standoff so that it's not too high or too short, but in this case it worked out to be 39mm in height, and I checked it with the other one and it was the same, so that's good. But as you can see here, the standard original goes right through. The new one, it stops short, so I have to drill it out. I'm not worried about the diameter so much, other than the fact that it just slides straight through like that. So we're not taking off any meat off the plastic, the tube. Carefully without drilling into my fingers. That's it. Run the screw down, and you can see that it's bottomed out on the plastic, so no gap, so it means it's going to go as far as it can. With a sheet metal deburring tool, just run around both sides of the hole to deburr the sharp edge off this. They're the same size. If I just take off the sharp edge, the grommet will go in easier, it won't fight me. Now across the top here you can see that we've got the well nuts for the fairing location into the top fairing. So I use a step drill. This is the original brand, the Unibit. So if we just put the Unibit into the factory fairing, lovely, nice 3/8 hole there. These ones here, the well nuts don't fit in yet. We just have to clear it out just a little bit because the holes are just one size undersized. So let's just run the Unibit through, brand new well nut. Look at that, perfect. Right, now this other one, which is up here, same again. I'll move it a bit closer so I can not get my hand in the way. So once again, uni bit, just run it through. There we go. All it needed on that one. And the well nut will go straight through. Beautiful. So the well nuts are in, 1, 2, grommet in, and the ECU mount point is done, so that section is done. Now we've got to deburr. To show you some of the tools again that I need is the uni bit, the step drill, so that we can open up the holes. I use a half round file, Bastard is the name of it, believe it or not. I don't know why they ever called it a bastard, but that's needed. Second cut or smooth is too fine. And then I use a round file to get into the sharp radiuses, and then a sheet metal deburring tool as well. And then lastly is the Scotch-Brite pad, coarse one, the maroon. Very careful on the sharp corner down here on the corner. You don't want to dig into the radius, that's why I use the small round file just to deburr it, but not to change it. As you can see, it files a lot like aluminium. Now we can, after this, we can just give it a light sand on those edges. What works well is the coarse Scotch-Brite pads. Just after I've finished filing, I can just run around the edges. Having it folded up double there gives it a bit of strength. Little moulding ridge just on next to the radius. That's better. So we've got a nice smooth edge around here now, not sharp. That's good. I'll just draw it on this piece of paper. Just a straight edge like you'd expect, but then others go along and then they radius down there like that, or the third type is they go around and they're radiused, so you know, rounded, sort of like a tapered or square. So just being mindful of what the manufacturer wanted out of each edge. Some butt up and yet others are just exposed to the outside. Now I also wanted to show you about the tail section. This section around there where my finger is there, they had a moulding ridge. So you got the plastic skin, and then there'll be a small sharp moulding ridge, and then the skin carries on. But if you use the, if you use the soft block, it would, with the 320 paper, it would just sand across there, up over the ridge, and continue along following the shape of the panel. So there's the panel there. And so you ended up sanding here and here, and not really knocking off the ridge. So a professional painter friend of mine told me that you've got to use the traditional rigid sanding block, and that way you only knock off the edge of the ridge, the moulding ridge, like that. So you've got the moulding ridge, and the sanding, the hard block, will sit on top and knock down that ridge rather than sanding all the surrounding surfaces, and that's when you get the wave. Now the poorest part of the fit up would have been these tabs here that go into the lower section. I had to trim off some of the lengths of the tabs because they wouldn't fit into the slots onto the lower section. So measuring off from a reference point, measuring back, I found that these tabs were too long, so I had to, if I can see it there, trim them a couple of mil shorter to make them fit in. There we go. This was probably the worst part. There was, these holes aren't quite spot on there, but luckily the raw nuts have some give and they swell up into the holes. But on the outside, the joint is spot on. It's just the tabs on the inside that caused me some grief. So when I do up these well nuts, I hold them at the back, hold them while I'm trying to line up the screw, and then pick up the thread, and then you're in business. I'm using a brand new well nut, but you can't use the old ones, they're too brittle, so I had to buy new well nuts. And here we go, it's a good fit, it's a good joint, looks good. Side fairing screws go in good, but I'm a little bit concerned about the top edge here. That's bottomed out now, that's nice and tight. But if we just bring around here, it's very close. I've had the other one, the original, up, and it's similar, but I think that's a little bit too close to that rivet there. It's going to wear into it. It's such a tight fit. It's good in a way, but I think maybe it should just have a little bit of clearance, maybe up like here. Maybe it should have a little bit more clearance like that, rather than just actually butting up here. Would dig into the aluminium when it's vibrating, on when the engine's idling or something, and sort of chafe away at that area there. So I think I have to relieve that a little bit. Just follow the profile along, just remove it. The rest of the fit seems to be good. I've got the other mounting point down there on the frame there, that's in. That went straight in. And then underneath there we've got the two halves coming together. They'll be alright. Plenty of movement down there to line them up. And there's a metal bracket that goes across there too that I have to put in there, but it's going to be alright. Fit through here at the seam of the lower and the side are okay. Around the front we can bring those together, that's okay. That's going to work. Everything has been good. It's a good fit. I wouldn't say it's 100% perfect, but it's very close. Oh, and I forgot, this is not clipped down yet. I just left that up there. Just dropped it down to show you what it looks like. Looks quite good, I think. See ya. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.